Welcome to the Tim Boxeo show. Over the last 7 days, we've had live professional boxing all over the world with various stages of protocol followed for COVID-19. We've been to Uzbekistan, which most of you should have watched, France, Russia, South Korea, Mexico. There's all types of ways to watch, whether it be YouTube pay per view, Facebook pay per view, Fight TV, Vire pay per view. I don't know, that's a thing. And there's only one guy I know that was there for all of it. He's the guy right here, the hardest core of the hardcore boxing fans, Tim Boxeo. Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me. This is great.
Well, I'm not having you, you're having me. I'm just going to sit here, I'm going to set you up.
Good point. Yep.
And you are going to bring us into your world of, club boxing. Is it fair to call it club boxing?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yep. But I guess the other thing, right, is club boxing and international. I mean, international stuff that doesn't make it on ESPN and the likes, right?
And to be fair, like not all of this is going to be like ring being propped up by cinder blocks. There are like
Right.
some professional shows that we're going to talk about today.
Right. Yeah, that's true. The norm is probably cinder blocks, but we will like you said, we'll definitely talk about some prospects even that and younger guys that even make will make the step onto bigger platforms sooner rather than later.
So, am I allowed to ask you questions about fights that actually aired like on a major broadcast in the United States? I'm just,
Yeah,
I'm just,
of
just
course.
asking.
Yeah, of course. Why not?
I mean, so if Jaron Ennis is going to fight this weekend, am I allowed to ask you any questions about Jaron Ennis?
Yeah, of course. Of course. Now, the only caveat, like I told you when we were talking earlier, is that I just have this gap of knowledge, right, where it exists probably in the lower undercards of ESPN stuff, because I'm watching something else until Ennis and the or whatever. I don't even know who the co-feature is on that fight, but anyway, till the co-feature
Stanionis?
hits. Oh yeah, that's who he said. Yeah,
Who sounds like he'd be on on the cards we're about to talk about.
yeah, perfect. Yeah, no,
Um,
Boots Ennis. Yeah. You were gonna ask about him or what?
no, I was just throwing that out there.
Oh, you're messing around.
No, yeah, we are here on a mission, and
Got it.
just so you guys know, my name's Angelo. I will be hosting this, but we are here for Tim Boxeo. So let's get right into this. We got to first talk about stuff that you know people just don't want to miss. And of course, the number one thing in boxing, you post lots of videos, and I'm sure you know that the things that get the most views, the most discussion, are the knockouts. So I want to walk me through what were some of the uh, can't miss knockouts of the week.
Yeah, I mean, one of the preludes to our overall discussion, it definitely fits to the knockouts because I think you'd agree. Usually you get a good handful of knockouts, right, every week, especially from the club shows, and generally that's because things aren't matched as well potentially as some of the other cards, right? But I think there was only a Friday afternoon card in Russia, and then the evening card, and then Nigeria that was broadcast for a little while. And then Argentina's always live Friday and Saturday night. So that was it for Friday. And then Saturday wasn't that much better, but so the weekend overall was just kind of slow across the world. But I think everyone probably saw there's two I want to share with you. But the first one is probably what everyone saw, which is Tursunbay Kalakmet. That was deep undercard though, wasn't it? It might have been the first or second fight on that Uzbekistan card on IFL TV and ESPN.
I don't know when that was on, but this was a 154-pound fight.
Yep. It was okay, so he debuted last October-ish. So I inadvertently saw his pro debut. Like I didn't know anything about the guy. I was getting ready to watch a show and I was Googling all the different guys' names because I wanted to see if any of these Uzbeks were primarily Olympians is what I was looking for. And he had won some world amateur medals, he definitely had a decorated amateur career, but not an Olympian. He won like a bronze medal at some.
That'll get you the heavyweight title if you play your cards right.
Well, that's fair too. But I'm like, all right, so this dude's making his pro debut. He's fighting against a guy, Sagadat Rachmankol, if I'm saying that even remotely right, who was 6-1, had 250 amateur fights, World Series of Boxing veteran, and there's obviously a varying range of talent on those fighters, right? But it at least kind of points to the fact that this guy's not a slouch, and so they put Tursun Bey in with him in a 6-round fight, and it wasn't close. I mean, I was like, it was one of those times where when you're watching a fight and everybody overreacts to the importance of the outcome or the importance of the knockout. I kind of felt myself saying this might be the greatest fighter I've ever seen, right? Like, this guy's amazing. I was like that excited. And then this next fight, he fights 14-year-old Englishman, Macaulay McGowan, who I wasn't terribly familiar with, to be honest, and went 10 rounds. And I know a lot of people were like, wow, why isn't he stepping on the gas? He's just kind of going through the motions. He got the decision. People are ready to jump off the bandwagon. And then we see this knockout against, I don't even know who it was.
Was it Rondon, who was 20-1. WBC International Light Middleweight Champion.
Oh my God.
Or championship was on the line. I mean, which doesn't really mean too much if you are following just, big time cards. But like on this level, this is where those belts would matter.
Well, that's true. Well, that's a fair point. Yep, that's very true.
And if you didn't see the knockout, I mean, it is just looking at the highlights of this fight, Kulkamet fought like he was like everything around him was moving in slow motion. And I don't know if that's because he's good or Rondon was, really bad, but like he catches him, like Rondon is mid hook and Kulkamet just lands this insane was a right hook? No, it's a right hook. And
right hook,
this guy just spun himself into the ground.
Yep. Yeah, it was devastating. I mean, it's what you want to see from a guy like Kulkamet too. And I mean, I think the sky's the limit for that guy. I mean, it's just so hard to understand how they move these guys though as well. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, the knockout itself was fantastic.
Is Kulkamet the one that signed with Top Rank?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think he is. There's another guy we're going to talk about that signed with Top Rank.
He's an MTK guy, but I'm sure most of the A sides on that card weren't they?
That I don't know, because my boy Husan Boy Duzmatov did not have the logo on his trunks. And I don't blame them if they don't sign him.
Hassan Boy.
Yeah, Hassan Boy Duzmatov. Right. Great amateur. He stopped his opponent too. Albeit his opponent did not look as competent in the ring as Heber Rondon.
Was Rondon, before we move off Rondon, was he's where was he from? Venezuela? He's South American.
Sounds like it. Yeah, Venezuela is where he's from.
Was it? Okay, yeah. Huh.
All
right, sorry.
Do you ever judge the quality of an opponent based off of how low quality their BoxRec picture is?
Yeah,
do you think
always.
That's fair?
I do. Yep, always.
Like if your picture on BoxRec was taken with like a sharp flip phone from 2003, like that probably correlates with your BoxRec ranking.
There's no doubt. It plays a role. It's part of the algorithm, I think. Right. So Hassan Boy, yeah, he got it done too.
Yeah, he's not even listed on BoxRec. Where did Hassan Boy fight? Because he's not listed on BoxRec.
Wait a second. I thought you were talking about Kulakamet. So I'm looking at the result from the event, and I don't see Kulakamet on there.
Wait a second. What is going on here?
But Hassan Boy's there. Kulakamet's fight's not on there.
BoxRec is messing up.
Wow, that's wild.
I have to talk to my friends over there.
Right.
When I tell them Tim Boxeo's coming, they fix things.
Yes. Yes.
All right, and would it be fair to say that the weekend wouldn't be complete if we didn't have a devastating knockout from Mexico?
Yeah. Yeah. That is guaranteed each and every weekend. And so there was, I had shared with you, there was a brutal knockout in Sinaloa, Mexico. And this was actually kind of a higher level Mexican card as far as Mexican cards go. This was actually on Fight TV.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Fight TV pay-per-view. I think it was $9.99. And top to bottom, the card was really entertaining, actually. I mean, it's, you see a few knockouts with guys that really shouldn't be in a boxing ring. It's like, all right, that's kind of funny, and hopefully no one got hurt and it's all good. But you don't want to see that. Like, I don't want to see that every single fight. I mean, come on. So this card was actually pretty good, and the knockout was a Cuban, and I don't think Cuban was Ualvis Gomez, and I don't think Gomez has any significant amateur background in terms of accolades. I'm sure, like most Cubans, I mean, the guy can fight, so I'm sure with most Cubans he's got a ton of amateur bouts, but not an Olympian or medalist in world championships or anything like that. And he flattened our guy Luis Fernando Pina, and Luis Fernando is in kind of a bad way recently because I was doing some preparation for our discussion, and I've noticed that Mr. Pena has been knocked out 4 times in a row now, and 5 of 6. But what made this knockout really cool, right? It was one of those knockouts where both guys are hooking at the same time. So they're and Gomez's hook just happens to land before Pena's does, and while Pena's hooking, of course, his chin is just kind of floating out in the air. It just bent his head around, and he may have been unconscious for a couple of seconds when he hit the ground.
Well, if your Twitter's anything, if there's any truth to it, which it is the internet after all, but you did post an image of Pena on a stretcher.
Right? Yeah.
He did a stretcher job.
Yeah, they took our guy out in a stretcher. Precautionary, of course.
Okay.
Yeah,
precautionary.
Yeah.
You wrote in your tweet that Pena was momentarily unconscious.
Right.
Isn't that kind of what a knockout is?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. So when someone gets knocked down or knocked out, obviously, but when someone gets knocked down, that's a concussion. I think we all can agree on that, right? I mean, if you get hit so hard in the head by another man and you fall to the ground, that's probably a concussion. So yeah, I think extending it to him being flat in his back.
I mean, this guy fell like what you would imagine you would fall like if Deontay Wilder hit you.
Yeah.
He is just it's like it's ragdoll physics. Like in the punch, it is absolutely beautiful, the punch that Gomez lands. It's just a right hook, and he put everything into it. You don't see punches like this land too often in boxing.
Yeah, no, he was swinging for the fences. I mean, that came from, his whole waist was torqued, right? It came
His shoulder was way out in front of his fist.
Yeah. Pena fell the way I would fall if I got hit by Ualvis Gomez, right? I mean, with that punch, it was fierce, man. That was awesome. But then when they do that, when they're in a bad way on the canvas, that's when you're like, gosh damn, why do I like this shit, right?
Yeah. Now don't get all Howard Cosell on me, okay?
No,
we're just starting.
I'm good. All right, I'm back. I'm over it. Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
No, but there's a difference, I think no one knows better than you of like, okay, there's obviously guys who get knocked out in the ring, and that comes with the territory. But then there's the knockouts where it's like that's clearly a result of a guy who can fight to whatever degree, but they're competent in the ring, and then a guy who doesn't belong there. There's a
Right.
huge difference.
Yep. I mean, sadly, shoot, the date's escaping me, but in the fall, there was a guy from Pakistan that passed away in the ring from a knockout, and it was pretty clear that he shouldn't have been in the ring.
Yeah,
And,
so that was Aslam Khan,
yep, that's right. Look at you.
who this was in January actually.
Oh, was it early this year? Yep.
And yeah, he had a KO. I'm gonna see if you posted the.
No, I didn't.
You didn't. If you
No,
did, you probably
but
deleted it.
no, I didn't. I didn't post it just because I already knew. I didn't see it live, and I already knew when I saw the highlight that he had passed away. Well, we're off in a slight tangent here, but what's weird about it is the Pakistani Boxing Council actually uploaded that full fight like 2 weeks ago. So if you want to Google our guy's name, or just Google Pakistani Boxing Council, they've got a YouTube channel. For some reason, like 3 months after the guy passed away, they felt it necessary to upload the whole fight. This doesn't seem to be in the best taste, but nonetheless, the knockout was horrific.
So if you're somebody who likes to watch videos with the live leak watermark, you should probably look that up.
Yeah, right. Yeah, man.
But for the rest of us, you should probably leave that be.
Yeah, just leave it be.
Yeah. So that's a shame. Well, who also there was obviously the knockouts, but you don't need that doesn't necessarily probably impress you. So let's talk about was anyone in action around the world this week that got your attention, that you're looking at, seeing like, okay, that we have something here. He may not be on the Tim Boxeo. He may go into that blind spot where you have undercard guys for the main fights. Who's ready to go maybe into that section?
Yeah, there's usually a few more. So disclaimer up front, when I this is just me, like when I put someone on a watch list for myself, it's just someone I want to see fight again because they were entertaining, or like Elvis Gomez that we just talked about. They've got crazy power, and I want to see if he can knock someone else unconscious. They're in a dramatic fight and they're willing to trade. And I'm like, gosh, I'm not going to miss that guy's fight. So, when you're talking about like who impressed me, it may or may not be someone that, has a chance to go on to be a world titleist or be on the next ESPN show, but it's just someone that I want to see fight for majority of those reasons, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Our guy from same card in Sinaloa. Like I said, it was a pretty decent event. Well, the main event was this guy Lester Martinez from Guatemala, 25 years old, and I think he was 7-0, and now he's 8-0. Does that sound right? Yeah, 8-0, 8 KOs now. But he was 7-0, 7 KOs, and some people might remember him because there was a UFC Fight Pass card not too long ago that was also done in Mexico. I think it was it looks like it was in December. Oh no, I take it back. It was the one in October. And the reason why that one sticks out is because he fought Mexican warhorse Michi Munoz, who amazingly is only had 39 pro fights, 28-11 at the time. And God, it feels like Michi Munoz has had like 65 fights.
He looks like he's had 65.
Yeah. Speaking of BoxRec photos, that's a guy I don't want to see. I don't want to see after
Anymore.
hours. No, I don't want to see when it's dark outside and I'm going to get some McDonald's or something.
I mean, this is very much like a guy that he earns his living either beating the shit out of somebody or they do the same to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
he's actually facing these last 3 fights have been decent opposition. He fought Carlos Molina and Mark DeLuca, who fought Kell Brook recently.
Yeah.
Oh, it was that Carlos Molina too.
Yeah, it was King Carlos Molina, former
Yeah,
world
that
champ.
one.
10 fights in a row. He's won.
But I looked at Lester Martinez, after you put him here as your guy to watch. So I'm like, I wonder what is it? A guy who impresses Tim, what does that look like? I looked him up. He's not bad. Like I think he's ready to maybe one or two more fights, but he's almost ready to graduate to like that showbox level. He looks
Yep.
good. I don't know what about defense because ain't like none of these guys are able to really get anything going against him, but the offense that he's putting together looks good.
It does, yeah. It does look good. He's got all the offensive tools. And like I said, and like you kind of just alluded to, I mean, he could definitely take the step up to showbox right now. If if he wins or looks good, and I'm not so concerned about that. So what it makes me put him on my list is just like, I'm watching a card that I'm not that I enjoy for a variety of different reasons. And then suddenly you see someone on there like, holy shit, right? This guy could easily fit into like a showbox card or a higher level than what he's fighting at. And it's not someone with a lot of fanfare or whatever. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye on this guy. So he definitely fit the bill. He talked after the fight about qualifying for the Olympics. So I don't know what that's gonna do for. He has not qualified, but
He doesn't look
wants to.
well. He fights out of Guatemala. I imagine that based off of what I've seen from him, he'd probably coast to qualifying.
Yeah.
He's a big guy. Like he looks much bigger, or sorry, he's bigger than he looks on TV because he's a nearly 6 feet tall super middleweight. I wasn't expecting that when I looked him up.
Yeah. Me neither.
E- Even though
No,
you
you
wrote it
say
in the
it.
notes, I skipped that.
No, No, I'm with you there. Yeah, he's one to watch, man. Be good to see what he does with his next fight. And I don't know who he must be signed to someone because
If not, Samson's about to come through.
yeah, there you go. I mean, he started off in Big Punch Arena and then God bless. And
What
then
is that?
if you could see me, I'm doing the sign of the cross like when I say Big Punch Arena in Tijuana.
All
Yeah.
right, explain that.
Well, Big Punch Arena is like the Mecca of boxing in Tijuana. I mean, everyone fights at Big Punch Arena at one time or another. And matter of fact, that's where our guy Chris Lovejoy has fought at least half of his fights, probably.
I don't get the Chris Lovejoy meme that people like. I don't get it.
I mean, Devin Haney fought in Big Punch Arena, right?
Is that where his dad paid for wins?
Oh yeah, that's it.
Do you have any knowledge of said purchasing of card erasing?
No, I don't. No, but if
Okay.
you watch, they're broadcast regularly, and if you watch it, because everyone wants to draw that conclusion of how shady shit is in Tijuana, right? And erase, buying wins, and obviously that stuff happens at different parts of the country. But if you watch a live card from Big Punch Arena, you'll know that it doesn't necessarily even have to go that far, because when you got the guy across the ring from you that has lost 20 fights in a row, all by knockout in the last 2 years, pretty sure you don't need to pay for the win, right? Like he's going to quit after the first shot. So it's all good. Just it's all about lining up the right opponents. But they got a new commissioner down there now,
Oh
so
my God. I'm
we'll
looking
see.
at one of the cards here. This
Yep.
is from June of 2019. So it was when Lester Martinez fought for his second pro fight. This is brutal.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's
the
bad.
top one on BoxRec, 17-1. Jonathan Medina was fighting Jesus Mayorga,
Mhm.
1-4-1.
Right. That's a hell of a main event.
I mean, there's a guy on here that's 0-7. There's a guy in here that's 36-36.
Look down the bottom. Our guy is Gabriel Muratala still fighting. That name doesn't ring a bell. Well, I guess he is 5-0. He's from California.
1-37.
1-37. Yep.
Oh,
And
man.
look at 1-37. Well, now he's 1-39. 37 by knockout.
Oh, you're right. He has lost a ton of these by KO1.
Yep.
First punch. I mean, what is the point? I guess it makes sense. Like if they're like, yeah, get in the ring, we'll pay you $500. You think that's easy money. You just get hit once and you're like, all right, I'm done.
Yep. Yeah. I gave it a shot. I showed up. Anyway, yeah, man,
Yeah.
that's a
So
big
back to
punch.
Lester Martinez. Okay, so I assume that we are going to be hearing from uh Big Punch. What about Cheers Bar?
Ooh, that's a good one too. You should see the exterior of Cheers Bar.
Does it look
It,
like the actual Cheers?
yeah. Oh, God, no, no, no. It looks as bad as you'd think it would look.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
looked it up on Google and it is red.
It's got like a thatch awning. Are you looking at it?
I don't know, but I'm looking. This cannot be it.
Oh. I see what you're looking at. I don't think that's it. Oh, yeah, that is it. Wow.
Anytime at this place. Wow, Ring City should sue Ring City.
That's a lot better.
Infringing on the gimmick. Yeah, anytime at this place.
It looks better than I expected than last time. They must have done a remodel. You should see, Google the outside of Google Big Punch Arena in Tijuana and look at the inside of Cheers.
Yeah,
You
it
see
looks
the pictures
cool.
of the inside where the ring is, the guys in the ring.
Yeah. Big Punch Arena.
Tijuana.
This almost looks like a hockey arena.
I know. Is a purple picture? Is it purple?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
This
great.
is nice though.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's great. There's some
Like if you just
plywood.
put Matchroom everywhere, it would look like something in Earned It.
Oh man. So I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot pole. So there's plywood on the outside of Big Punch. They remodeled it though, so maybe it looks better now. I don't know. What the hell? One day in the next year or two, me and my wife will be down at Big Punch.
Oh, I mean, they will know when you come through. They're like, you're the guy who's been putting all of our stuff on the internet. Have a seat right here.
Yeah.
And we'll have somebody glove you up. And
Like when you watch the Facebook cards and they tell you how many people are watching, you're like, yeah, I'm one of 5. There's 5 of us. What am I doing with my life?
you're doing
Anyway,
a service. Anyway,
oh yeah.
what are some of the really good fights that happened this weekend that you were one of those 5 people that nobody really watched?
Well,
Something tells me we're going back down to Mexico.
we are going back down to Mexico. I mean, there were others, but nothing worth telling people about. Let's be honest. But back down in Sinaloa, and a handful of people on my timeline were watching it too. And I was a little bit behind. I had like 2 laptops set up, and I was my hero, the legend Saul Farah, was just coming in the ring in Bolivia. So I had to pause this fight in Mexico. But then I went and played it after Farah was done. And I was interested in this fight because I want to say, and I don't know if they've changed it, but I think BoxRec had it listed as a heavyweight fight now. And anytime heavyweights fight, is it? Oh, okay. So anytime heavyweights fight in Mexico, I'm generally going to tune in because there's a high probability of someone being about 5'8", 300 pounds. And it's just true. Like, I hope that doesn't sound bad to say, but it's just the way it rolls, and especially in like Tijuana, but or Sinaloa. But this Cuban, Giovanni Brazon, 23-year-old guy, he was 5-0, 5 KOs. I don't know if they just weighed in like slightly above cruiserweight is probably what happened, and why they listed at heavyweight. Fought an absolute war against German Garcia, who was 7-2 at the time. The Cuban, Brazon, had him out, man. I mean, like the first 2 rounds, it was like, this fight is going to be over quick. And somehow Garcia stayed on his feet. There were no knockdowns in it, but Garcia stayed on his feet. And then just like you've seen in so many other fights before, it was one of those oh shit moments where the guy that was getting the piss beat out of him just all of a sudden just dug down and turned the tables. And then like the next 2 or 3 rounds, it was just back and forth, both guys just letting their hands go. And it was great, but Garcia ended up getting cut, and the doctor actually stopped the fight in 8th round. And the other awesome side note to this fight is, because I like all the interest, all the funny shit that goes along with the fights, right? And this was a WBC Bridgerweight fight, title fight, out of not the main Bridgerweight belt, of course. It couldn't have been for that.
Not the prestigious WBC Bridgerweight title.
No, and I've since learned, as I was doing some Googling, that there is actually a silver Bridgerweight version, and there's an international. But I thought it was a continental, which would have been equally awesome. But it was a WBC Latino Bridgerweight title.
Okay, yeah. Thank God you made that distinction. I was gonna write a really strongly worded letter to Mauricio. I don't have to now, though.
No, you're safe. Yeah, one of my friends, and he didn't know I wasn't watching it live, but he direct messaged me on Twitter, and he said, "We've got a Bridgerweight war," and I'm like, "Oh my God, how am I missing the Bridgerweight war?" Because then I like to tweet that shit out and like capitalize put Bridgerweight in all caps, and then people start getting pissed, right? Like, oh, this is awful. I just think it's hilarious.
I mean, like, look, why not?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous that I think it's hilarious. So,
well, here's a question though: what do you think about Giovanni Bruzon as a prospect? And he is somebody that we could call a prospect. He's not a 38-year-old. No, this guy is 23. He's 6'4". He's fighting technically at heavyweight. And I don't know what the cruiserweight limit is, but it seems like he's gonna fit under it since he's regularly coming in under 220 pounds.
Yep. Yeah, he's definitely somebody I want to see again. I mean, I don't know. I'm not really. So I guess I'm not that guy. Like if we're gonna have a conversation about like what his ceiling is and how far he's going to ascend and all that stuff, I just know I want to watch him fight again. I mean, I think his challenge will be, I don't know how he got hit so much by German Garcia. Right?
Wait, had you seen German Garcia fight before?
No, huh?
Okay.
But it was, I mean, German Garcia wasn't bringing anything special to the fight. Watching it, I can tell you that. So how he was getting his coconut rattled by Garcia over and over again probably tells me he's not going to be a future world champion. But shit, man, if he fights like that again, he'll be someone you'd want to watch fight. That's for sure.
Well, German Garcia, according to BoxRec, has the distinction of losing to a guy, Lino Sanchez, in his pro debut, and Lino has yet to fight again since 2018. So not a bad run for that career.
Yeah, you find a lot of those guys.
And
so, one last Bridgerweight note. I didn't realize, as I was preparing to talk about the Bridgerweights, WBC site, it's actually a pretty good website, have 25 Bridgerweights ranked. 25. So I guess my question is, and Giovanni Bruzon is not one of them. So how can you fight for the WBC Latino title and not even be in the top 25 of the rankings?
Well, I think that's going to change really quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, is Jerry Forrest even a Bridgerweight?
I mean, that's the other thing when I looked at the rankings is there's so many guys on here. Have any of these guys even come out and said, yeah, I'm going to fight at Bridgerweight, right? Declared themselves Bridgerweights?
I didn't know Devin Vargas was still fighting.
He's 25, right? Is that what he is?
Yeah, he's 25.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I remember that because I wanted to see who the 25th ranked Bridgerweight is and then watch his next fight and then put his ranking by it when I tweet it and see, and hopefully just troll some people and see if they get upset. Oh, man. I mean, they got Alan Babick listed here, who we could argue should be a Bridgerweight, but definitely not going to fight at Bridgerweight. There's no way.
I mean, this list has got a lot of guys on here that are like, just, is this guy still fighting? Yes or no? Like trivia. What I want to know is who's number 11? Frame Hook. Frame Hook. Who's that?
I don't know. It's got to be Marco, but I don't. Why does it say Frame Hook?
Frame Hook. No, I have never heard of this person. And if you Google Frame Hook box rec, nothing comes up.
This is great.
So they got fake people listed here is what I'm trying to say. Also, interesting to note that of the 25 that they have ranked as bridgerweights, only 5 of them are enrolled in the clean boxing program, which says to me that they're very serious about this division.
Yeah, you've got to be. What is there? They've got some top 20 or something, 15, something like. Got to be in the program.
All right. Well, let's move on to. Let me ask you this. I think when you're operating on the level that you operate, there's bound to be some crazy things happening. So, what crazy stuff happened this weekend that people probably would not believe, or what just caught your mind is like, this is the freak show of the week that I must watch?
So usually there's more. Again, back to how many events we had over the weekend. Like I think it was 2 weekends ago. One of my guys in Fiji, well, I'm guessing he didn't have the best boots. His boot. How do your boxing boots malfunction in like round 1? It's interesting to me. Like the whole tread comes off the underside. But they screw it, man. They took the boots off and
He fought barefoot.
Big guy was fighting barefoot. Yeah. So normally it's something cool like that. But this one is equally as cool because it's the legend himself, Saul El Phoenix Assassin Farah.
Wait, is that 2 nicknames or that's one? Phoenix, the Phoenix Assassin.
El Phoenix Assassino Farah.
Okay. All right. I'd love to know what that means, but we don't have to get into that.
Yeah. Okay. So Farah fighting in and of itself is like an epic moment for me. But what brings it into like a story of you wouldn't believe it is a week ago, the 26th of March, he had a fight scheduled versus a guy who was making his pro debut. And so, like I said,
could you tell people what Saul's record is so we could just kind of get the gravity of the situation?
Yeah. So our man, Saul Farah, 73 wins, 26 losses, and 3 ties, and there's 3 draws, and there's got to be at least another 5 to 10 that aren't on BoxRec. So our guy has easily fought over 100 fights, and he was going to contest his Bolivian bridgerweight title, which furthers the legend. Is the legend Farah was the first one in the world to capture a bridgerweight title of any type when Bolivia put one on the line for him in December. And this was on the 26th of March against some guy named Pedro Guanachaba, who for the life of me, I couldn't find any information about him ever boxing. But a week before the fight, he posted some training video of himself doing some sprints. And my guy was winded, man. I don't know. He was not ready for the 12 rounds of hell that Saul Farah was going to give him. Well, long story short, the commission stepped in and said, all right, listen, you can fight Pedro in a 4 or 6 round fight, but we are not sanctioning this for a 12-round fight. And
Was
they
the
did
title still on the line, though?
A 4 or 6? Yeah, that would have been the good question. That's probably, it would have only taken 1, so I don't know what he's so pissed at. Farah, but yeah, so Farah got pissed. This was at a press conference that I stumbled across, trying to find out if the fight was going to go live. And it was actually a press conference announcing that they weren't going to have the fight. And and it broke out into an all-out melee.
He's not joking. Like I watched it, and it's like you got these 2 guys are sitting at a table. There's a very like not so big guy sitting between them, and these are 2 quote unquote bridgerweights. The guy's wearing up his mask, and then the guys start jawing at each other. Then they stand up, and Saul decides in standing up that he needs to pick up his title. So he picks up his title to show it. And then he puts it down, picks it back up, and then chucks it at his opponent.
Yeah.
He didn't hit him because the guy in the middle, like, I guess he like blocked. He didn't block it, but he like redirected it, so it didn't hit the guy in the face. But then very soon afterwards, they literally like this isn't our normal guys shove each other at a press conference. This is like no, they really fought.
Yeah, yeah. They let their hands go, and each of them connected multiple times. Yeah, this wasn't an NBA fight by any stretch of the imagination.
No. There were legit punches got thrown. Finally, a guy jumped in the middle of them and he separated them. I also looked at your Twitter and saw like back in 2019 that Saul had did an open workout in Africa
Mm-hmm.
and which was literally him and one other person doing pads in
Yeah.
like some random public courtyard and people just joined like formed a circle.
Yep. Well,
Uh
and
yeah,
and
go on,
that's
go on.
and the reason why he did that was because, and this isn't on BoxRec, he went and fought a 12-round title fight in the Congo. And I
It seems
forget
like there's a lot of stuff missing from his box rec.
Yeah, I don't think the Bolivian Commission's in the best standing with BoxRec, which brings us to the whole point of the story, because everything we've talked about so far is on the 26th of March. And so what makes the story like almost unbelievable is 5 days later on Friday, what was Friday the 2nd? Friday the 2nd, Farah puts together a full card. So he was getting ready to fight our guy Pedro on the 26th. And then within 5 days, he's got another card put together in his hometown, 3 pro bouts, 8 amateur fights, and he's defending his Bolivian bridgerweight title versus someone named Ruben Vargas. Again, Saul's got over 100 fights. Ruben is 3-10. Ruben turned pro in 2008 as a lightweight. Fought in the mid 20s, the mid like 20 teens, like 13, 14, 15, 16, in the 165, 175 range, and then fights Farah at bridgerweight. And Farah knocked him down 4 times in the first round and won by TKO 1. It was spectacular. It was spectacular.
Ruben also has lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fights in a row, all by knockout.
Yeah.
So is Saul Fada a bully? I don't know.
No, he's not no. He needs a win. We go home to win in Bolivia. That's what we do. We go home to win. The co-feature, really quick, the co-feature too was spectacular. Heavyweight, people would say Faraz been ducking Elvis Torrico, who's 52 years old and 9-0 with 9 knockouts. What's kind of cool though, he's pretty active on social media. He does a lot of training. He trains a lot of kids in Bolivia and boxing just overall. So shout out to Elvis Torrico for using his skill for good. But nonetheless, 52, 9-0, facing Cesar El Demoledor Ruiz, which translates to the Demolition Man. And Cesar had to be 55 years old and had to be 300 pounds. But Elvis stays perfect and knocks him out in the first round, moving his record to 10-0 and 10 knockouts. And if you don't want to watch that over, God bless all my European friends, but 2 European guys that are both 20-3 and 1 knockout go 8 rounds, like, I mean, I don't know, man. I can't help you. That's where we need to be. We need to be Torrico versus the Demolition Man.
Like this isn't even well, I guess this is like 2 uncles fighting.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, if I look at Elvis Torrico, like, he looks like someone's uncle.
Yeah.
He might have grandkids.
Yeah, his BoxRec picture is awesome.
I mean, it hasn't been updated or none of his fights since 2019 have been updated, but I'm going to trust that you say he's been more active than what we see here.
What do they have him listed at? 8-0? He's 10 now.
Yeah, he's 8-0 with 8 knockouts.
Who knows what else, because it's not like I followed every single one of his fights, but I know he fought on Faraz card in December that Farah won the Bridgerweight title. So that made him 9, and then this would make him 10. But
I'm just really curious where you find the 0-9 type of fighter.
Cesar Mamani.
I mean, there are plenty of them, but yeah. So talk about Caesar.
So the walkout bout is Bolivian heavyweight legend Cesar Mamani, who now he lost, got knocked out in the first round. He's fallen to 0-9 by KO, and 4 of his fights have been against Saul Farah. So
now, why is that? Like, do they not like each other? Is Mamani a popular figure?
No, they just...
Is Bob Arum promoting this? Like, how do you do this fight 4 times?
Like, I think when again, obviously Elvis Tarico is ducking Saul, and when Saul gets home and needs a fight and a win, my guess is the heavyweight pool in Bolivia is not large, right? So we drum up Caesar, we get him in the ring, and we go after it. And that's the other beauty of Bolivia is some of the rings and setups. And I mean, we've been fighting in parking lots. We've had concrete instead of anything, concrete with a tarp over it.
Have you ever seen one with just human arms as ropes? This guy's holding hands.
Not yet.
Dang, BoxRec's trying to tell me, verify that I'm not a robot. According to BoxRec, there are only 3 active heavyweights in Bolivia.
Yeah.
You probably know them.
I think we just named them.
No, they're not. You didn't name Julio Enrique Cuellar Cabrera.
Oh.
40. And then Jainier Vaca and Ivan Schmitter, which is a real name. Anyway, how's you said Caesar's a legend. He's 0-9. How exactly is he a legend? Like, he's like 0-9. And by the way, I don't know if you mentioned this, all 9 of his losses were knockouts.
Right.
So, like, is he like just getting sent to hell all the time, or is he quitting?
Hey, I'm not going to judge a man quitting or not quitting. I don't know if he's quitting. I don't know. What makes him a legend, the fact that he fought Farah 4 times, that makes him a legend in my mind.
Wait, is Farah the one who is 5'8"?
If anyone's made it this far, we're so far deep in the rabbit hole. If anyone's they have turned it off. I mean, it's like back to the Facebook thing, man. You could see like 25 people started. Now it's 5.
We'll see.
We'll see. All right. So
we'll see.
Farah is what does this boxer say? It probably says like 5'10". He can't be more than 5'8" or 9. Can't be.
And how much does he weigh?
Oh, that's been all over the place. But amazing, he's weighed as much as 300 pounds. But I mean, he came down to Bridgerweight, man. The guy must be working out. I mean, he made the Bridgerweight limit.
He's been doing those workouts.
Yeah.
Was he ever like considered, when he started, was he ever considered like somebody with the future?
No, I don't think so. And you know what tells me that is when you take the deep dive into his box rec, he started at home 0-2-1 in Bolivia. 0-2-1. Then went 7-0 against fighters with a combined 0 wins. Okay. Then
that's a step in the right direction.
Wins a fight against a guy who's 1-1-1, and then tacked on another 5 wins again with a combined opponent's win record of 0. So
I mean, this is basically like the beginning of Julio Cesar Chavez's career, right? It's like the same thing.
Yeah, pretty close. And then from that point, Farah just starts continuing to he takes off. Guys fought all over the world, literally all over the world, from China to Germany to everywhere. So that was the beginning of him taking off. Goes out, loses, comes home, tacks on another 5 wins, goes out, loses, comes home. But he doesn't roll over. I mean, it's not like he goes there to lose. He might not be the most skilled heavyweight in the world, but
he might look terrible to me from the clips.
Yeah, he might not let his hands go all the time, but He's not afraid to fight. He stands in there and fights. That's for sure.
What's his record away from Venezuela, where it appears that there are plenty of fighters with no wins on their resume?
Whoa. Bolivia, away from Bolivia.
Sorry. I'm getting real confused here with all these countries that are on the page.
Yeah.
Bolivia.
0-22 on the road.
Okay.
71-0. 70 after the 0-2-1 start. 71-0 at home.
No.
Yes.
How is that possible? There's no one in Bolivia that could challenge him?
No.
Okay, well, this is where Elvis Tarico comes in, because unless he's trying to beat Faraz's record, I think we really need to see this fight.
We do need to see the fight. Well, we're not going to see the fight because in October, you say, is there anyone challenging him? October of last year, our guy, and this is an on BoxRec, and this guy is an on BoxRec. Farah was challenged for his heavyweight title of Bolivia, which he had held, I don't know, 8 to 10 years. And some guy, he goes by Lamol Visquera. I don't even know what that means. His name is Marco Kenny. Pro debut, takes a 12-round decision, pay-per-view against Farah.
So he lost his first time.
He lost. Marco Kenny won.
Yeah, so Farah lost his first fight at home.
Yes. Since he was 0-2-1.
Oh, wow. To end the legendary streak.
Yeah, and that's what prompted the move to Bridgerweight. So anyway, long story short, I don't think Elvis is going to be moving to Bridgerweight. Elvis is a pretty big guy.
So Elvis is going to beat Marco Kenny. I see.
I feel like I'm feeling like I want to get out of the Bolivia Bridgerweight hole now.
Was there anything else that we might have missed this week?
2 back-to-back cards in Japan, Osaka. I guess those were kind of nice. One came on at like 10 o'clock Eastern time in the US. So that was nice. And then like 2 a.m. But what's notable about those is they were literally fought in what you would picture, or if you've been a university or college lecture hall. Like they had the raised seating. I mean, it was a full-fledged university lecture hall, and they just put the ring where the stage is supposed to be. So there's actually some good fights on it.
Then.
Yeah, good, very well seen. Yeah.
All right. Were there any upsets this weekend?
One upset that was pretty good. So I watched you mentioned the Vire pay-per-view show from oh good God, I'm forgetting where it was now. Oh, it was in Philly. That's right. It was in Philly. There was a light heavyweight.
The United States.
Yeah, U.S. Imagine that. Joey DeWelko. Is that how I say his name? DeWelko, the heavyweight?
I don't know, but he's allegedly the person who knocked Anthony Joshua out.
Yeah.
In sparring. Allegedly.
Yeah. Allegedly. We don't know, but he was the main event. One of the undercard fights, there's this guy, a light heavyweight from the Bronx, Nigerian guy. He was 2-1. He faced off as the B side against someone named Benny Senecan, who I'm not familiar with. He was 6-0. Benny was there to get the win, of course, because King from Nigeria, now living in the Bronx, 2-1, was 32 years old, turned pro in 2019, and I tell you, man, he took a majority decision, and when he won the fight, he fell down to his hands and knees, and the dude was crying like a baby. Like it was just very endearing to see, like, a grown man, and his coach was, they're hugging, and it just the fight meant the world to him. And then he doesn't speak great English, and during the post-fight interview, trying to ask him, what's it like? How's it feel? What's the Bronx like? Or what's it like to be fighting out of the Bronx? He's like, yeah, I'm from the Bronx. I'm from the Bronx. I want to thank, and then he thanked like 12 people, It was like a Oscar acceptance speech. It was great, man. I mean, I love to see crap like that. You know, it meant everything to the guy.
Yeah, I mean, 32 years old. He's only got 3 pro fights. He's never fought a guy with a loss. I got to give him credit for that. All 4 of his opponents have been undefeated. And like, look, at the end of the day, these are all guys who had a dream one at one point in their lives, and some of them they were able to. You know, you look at a guy like Canelo, or you say Tank, or somebody who they accomplished their dream really early. You know, they're 22 years old when they do it. This dude is still chasing his dream. And at 32 years old, that might have been it right there to beat somebody who's proven that they're good in boxing. So I think we all need that wholesome side of boxing every now and then.
I agree, man.
All right. So there were plenty of cards this week in a bunch of different places. Which card was the one that where would you have least like to have gotten knocked out in this week?
Oh my God, there's no way there was medical help in Bolivia. There's no way. It would have been better just to take a shot and take a knee. Yeah. Look around, you like assess your surroundings when you walk in the ring. Be like, all right, there is no doctor here. Yep.
Maybe their medical personnel on site was just like a bottle of Jack.
Yeah. Yeah, that would fit Mexico better, right? Like just have some tequila on the side. Just but yeah. Yeah. Bolivia, we would have been screwed, dude.
Well, especially if Saul was the one hitting you.
Got it right.
All right. So let's sort of look forward. Like, was anybody in action this past weekend who was kind of like, they're possibly going to be fighting for a title at some point? Like, are they going to be on a sanctioning body ranking? Is there somebody that we need to keep an eye out because they will be fighting for a title? And not the Bolivian heavyweight title. We mean like WBO, WBC, those kind of things.
Yeah. So let me mention 2 people. One is, and I'm not a huge women's boxing fan. I think you know that. But
I do know that.
for Firuza Sharapova is a Kazakh super featherweight / lightweight, who could arguably be the most famous fighter in Kazakhstan. Like she's immensely popular.
Even more than Gennady Golovkin.
Well, fair point. I think it kind of starts after that, right? After Triple G. I think it starts after that.
See, I was actually expecting you to disagree because I actually think you have an argument that she might be more popular.
Yeah, well, I didn't even think of Triple G, to be honest.
See, that's the level. That's what we're here for. That's where you operate.
Yeah,
you weren't even thinking about him.
Punching above my pay grade. So Sharapova makes more. She's in the news in Kazakhstan all the time. She's ranked by all the sanctioning bodies. I went and double checked. All 4 of the big ones she's ranked by. I think she has some sort of a belt, and it's not from the 4. But she lost her. She's 12-1. She's 26. She's very, very pretty lady, which helps, right? She's got a large Instagram following, and she's actually on like the Kazakhstan version of Dancing with the Stars right now. So I was kind of surprised to see that she was fighting because all you see from her right now is clips of Dancing with the Stars. Like it's almost annoying, you know, whether she's going to fight again. But she actually lost her pro debut against someone named Sofia Ochagawa, and they've been trying to make that rematch now for a good 18 months. And it was scheduled to go again for the 3rd or 4th time on this fight card. And at about 40 hours before the fight, it got pulled out. On all they put out, Rattel Pro Fight, which was the promoter, all they put out was that a woman who was supposed to fund the fight didn't come through. That's all they put. And they were looking for an opponent. And
I think she's been in contact with Bob Arum for a fight for Terrence Crawford.
Oh man. So I don't know what happened. I just know they found old gal who was 0-1, and the fight shouldn't have happened. But Sharapova blitzed her. I think it was TKO 4. But she, with her popularity, she can fight a little bit. I think if you watch her though, you kind of scratch your head on, like, gosh, I don't really know. I'm not sure she's really ever
Good.
going to be I don't know if she's going to be a world champion, even with the thin prospect pool in women's fighting.
But, she's 12-1. And I think, fighting for titles, at least for the men, is really a function of paying your fees and winning fights. And that's about it. And it
Yep.
looks like she's doing that.
Yeah, she is. She's one to she's one to follow on Instagram, and she's just so popular that it'd be shocking if she didn't end up in a big fight here that is broadcast in the US soon.
So I'm interested to hear what you got to say about our next one, because I looked up both of them, and I'm more a fan of this one.
Oh, are you Fatima Dodieva? Fatima Dodieva. Yeah, I told my wife when I was getting ready to start, I'm like, they're putting boxing gloves on a woman that looks like she's a supermodel.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about her though, because her and if you look at her box rec, she hadn't really fought anybody. And she was, I would say, for women's boxing, and I don't mean to keep calling it women's boxing, that I think that offends people, but nonetheless, this Venezuelan Luciana Bolivar. This lady could fight a little bit. She was rough, and the fight started. And Fatima has over 100,000 Instagram followers too. She's immensely popular herself, but she can fight a little bit. And actually, I was more surprised in her boxing skills than I was of Sharapova. But her, from a looks perspective, she's definitely Sharapova on steroids. That's for sure. And
Yeah. I mean,
I think the promoters understand what they've got here with her. So,
do you know what division she fights in? You said bantamweight?
Bantamweight, yeah.
Yeah.
27-year-old bantamweight, yeah.
I mean, she doesn't have much on her Instagram, unless I'm looking at the wrong one. But yeah. What else do we have? You have one more listed here, I think. And this one I'm confused about. I have questions about this one, but let's hear what you got to say about this guy.
Well, it's really wild. So this Russian guy, Evgeny Kurdanov, was making his pro debut, and it just seemed like they were giving him more attention than, I mean, I've never heard of this guy. It seemed like they're giving him more attention than I would expect. And he was debuting against 42-year-old Artem Vichkin, who is 9-40. Our guy Artem hasn't won a bout since 2006, 26 in a row. So he was looking to break that streak. And Evgeny just didn't have the look. I mean, he had like one of those big, long Zach Brown band beards. So I'm like, all right, this guy like is not an Olympian, right? Like, why are we making a big deal of him? So I Googled him. Well, it turns out like a month ago, he signed an exclusive deal. He's a Russian bare knuckle fighter, going 4-0 as a lightweight in hardcore bare knuckle Russian promotions, and signed an exclusive deal to BKFC to come over to the U.S. One of my friends actually said he saw a note that he was already living in the U.S., which obviously he's not because he just fought in Russia. But yeah, he's going to be an exclusive fighter for bare knuckle in the U.S., which I guess when they say exclusive means for bare knuckle. Yeah, I don't know how.
I guess that's a skill.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can sign an exclusive deal and then make your pro boxing debut like 2 weeks later in Russia. It was just kind of odd.
I'm he didn't knock this guy out that he was fighting.
6-round split decision.
Kind of concerning.
It's a little bit. Yep.
The guy was 9-40.
Yep.
Evgeny looks also like he's spending way too much time lifting weights because he is absolutely jacked.
Yeah, that lifting weights might be one thing he's doing.
But yeah. I mean, excessively.
Yeah.
That his recovery time must be really short.
Right. Imagine that. Wonder how that works.
But yeah, so I guess we'll see him on bare knuckle. Is that something you're into?
I am, yeah. I just started though a couple months ago.
I
It's
just want to
entertaining.
make sure.
Yep, it's entertaining. But that might be best suited for him because boxing, I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. We already talked about yeah. So
Yeah, 42-year-old 9-40 fighters. Yeah, that's probably about his ceiling.
yep. We just saw it.
Yeah, we already talked about Lester Martinez, so we can go over that. So, for you overall, which country produced the best show, and what was the best show?
Yeah, that Mexico show on Fight was definitely the best show of the weekend for me. You know, mid-level Mexican shows can really be sneaky good. Like, I'm not talking big punch shows can be good in a different way. I know you're just looking through the box rec, but some of the mid-level Mexican shows really can be good. And I'm going to do a better job of documenting, you know, some of the 4 and 6 round fights on there that, you know, none of these guys are going to graduate to the next level, but it's just 2 well-matched guys and they're there to fight, you know. That's pretty entertaining stuff a lot of times.
So when you say that, you don't mean like a Zanfer show, because like obviously everybody knows. Well, I think most, if you're listening to this, you most likely know Zanfer.
No, not a Zanfer show, because that's mostly built up. That's mostly A sides versus losing B sides, right? I think.
For the most part, I mean Zanfer's more, I guess, like that's a prominent promoter in Mexico with world champions on their roster.
Right. No, I'm just talking about Mexican club shows that, you know, has a decent main event. I mean, there's one coming up this weekend, like of that ilk. That's not on BoxRec yet, but it'll be soon. But anyway, yeah. So
Wait, so how do you know that this is happening if it's not on BoxRec?
it just having all my social media set up in a way with following all the right things that have just progressed over time that, you know, as you scroll through your social media, stuff just kind of presents itself. Right.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I should have assumed that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are 3 fights, or rather 3 cards this week that are can't miss?
So I was going to talk about the Russia one. This is the first one that came to my mind, the one in Thursday in Chechnya. But I think I'll spend the least amount of time on that one. I want to watch that one just because it's number one, because it's in Chechnya, which is cool.
How do you know it's in Chechnya?
Because that's where they hold these. That's where Grozny is.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, it's in Grozny, Russia, which I'm not that. I only know just from one of my friends saying, "Oh, you gonna watch the Chechnya fight?" No, I don't see one of those. I see one in Grozny. So,
Oh yeah.
anyway.
This is like, okay.
So there's just some interesting stuff on it. I mean, the heavyweight, Abdi Davtiev, he's got like, he's 20-0 with like, what does he have? 18, 19 knockouts, and hasn't fought a soul, right? Which is great. I mean, you know, I love to see that crap. And then there's a couple other super welterweights, middleweights, undefeated guys.
Umar Salamov is a guy I think that has some association to Top Rank. If not, he's actually signed, is also on this card.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
And he's like I remember like even when Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev and Adonis Stevenson were active at light heavyweight, he was a guy that was just hovering as some like really impressive record guy who's never fought anybody.
Yeah. 25-1. And the guy right above him, I just tweeted out a picture of him earlier tonight before we got on the phone. Abdi Darkanov. And in the fight poster, he's standing side by side with his opponent. His opponent's standing there in the fight position with gloves on. And our guy Abdi's standing there with an M16 or an M2 or whatever they use, which is fantastic. And then someone replied and said, well, yeah, he's in the special forces. Like,
oh yeah. Okay, now I know what you're talking about. Yeah, he's
awesome.
he's like a cop or something.
I mean, it's not every day you see
military.
a guy standing there holding a gun in his fight photo, and it's in Chechnya. I mean, everything kind of comes together. This is one that'll be fun to watch. It'll be cool. But anyway, that's that on that.
Okay.
And then the next one would be Ghana. I just never miss, as you know, I just love the passion and enthusiasm that these African countries I just love it. So I'll never miss a Ghana show if I can help it. Tanzania, but there's some Tanzania shows, but I don't want to miss the Ghana show because I don't know if I pronounce his name Basti or Basti. Samir is fighting allegedly light heavyweight 18-0, and he was an Olympian back in 2008. Probably considered one of the.
That was over 10 years ago.
Yeah, a long time. Started his career in the U.S. actually, and then got clipped to some degree, but with a draw on a solo Boxeo show, Telefatura, back in like 2011.
Those were the days.
Oh man, those are good days. And had a long break, signed a Golden Boy. That didn't work out. Fought a lot of, then got the Ghanaian that knocked him out in the 7th round, and then his legend just exploded. So he's one of the most popular fighters in all of Ghana. They're gonna go crazy when he fights. So I love that crap. And the guy right underneath him, the bantamweight Prince Dazani, he's an interesting guy, 21-0. He's an Olympian too, 2008 Olympian. So I want to see him fight. Those are the only 2 names that stuck out to me.
I feel like Ghana has a pretty high. I don't know what the term here is for, but like we see a lot of guys from Ghana. They do make it to like big cards here in the U.S. as an opponent.
Yeah, they do.
And I also don't think that Ghana is recognized as like one of the prominent boxing countries, but it actually it might be. You know, we all obviously have the big hitters, but like there's a lot of for being. I don't know how big Ghana is, but it seems like it's a small country, and yet we get so many fighters from Ghana that wind up making it to all levels of boxing, including world champions.
Yeah, I agree. It can't be that big. And you might have seen, like I tweeted on my timeline, and it's true, the conditions in which these guys fight in and train in, and the lack of resources that they have, and they have so much love for the sport, and many other fighters would have walked away, and these guys just love it, man. Their cards run till like 4 or 5 in the morning in Ghana. Nobody leaves.
They start.
Oh yeah. Oh they're supposed to start at like 7 or 8, and they always run like 2 to 3 hours late, which is part of the beauty of their shows. And then 4 in the morning, they're bringing in swing bouts. You know, it's great, man. Fantastic. I love it. It's so good. Anyway, that's Ghana.
All right.
And then probably the biggest card, and is the one in Australia. Unfortunately, it's only on Australian Fox Sports, which is, you have to basically have IPTV for, otherwise it's impossible to see. But Justice Hooney, heavyweight 2-0, is fighting, who turned pro last year in October in a 10-round fight for the Australian heavyweight title in his pro debut. Won it. He was expected to go on into the Olympics this year, but fought again, won, moves to 2-0, and then getting ready to fight a 3rd time in the spring. Or excuse me, we're in the spring, like January, February, and got knocked out in sparring and got a concussion, so they pushed it back to now. But prior to that, I mean, I honestly think the guy has top 10 in the world heavyweight talent, like right now. Like, is he ready for a top 10 heavyweight? You know, probably not. But he has that kind of skill right now. And he is very, very good. So he's one to watch.
So his name is Justice, like, you know, Justice, but with Justis, and then his last name Huni. If you want to look him up, like, obviously that's high praise to say that somebody who's fighting at such a regional level at this point and early in their career has got that kind of talent. I looked at him; he does look good. There's some things that he did that I liked, and he's only 22, 6'4". He's a solid 240 or so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what you want in a heavyweight these days.
Yep.
The one thing I also say is, like, you know, a lot of times you look at heavyweights, like let's take a Joe Joyce, for example. It's like, you do a lot of things well, but you're also slow, and that comes with the territory of being big. But
Right.
he appears to move like a guy who's much smaller than he actually is.
Yeah, totally. He's very nimble on his feet. You're right. He moves around the ring really well. He doesn't move around the ring like a heavyweight. He's not lumbering around in there. That's a good observation. I didn't even write that down. It's something I wanted to share, but I would agree with you 100%. Guy puts his punches together really well too. You know who?
Go on.
I was just gonna say we'll see. I mean, getting knocked out in sparring. Some of my Australian friends. I mean, sure, it probably happens a lot more than we know, but nonetheless, have thrown up red flags to say he might not be all we think he is, but we'll see.
Each guy with the heavyweight champions of the world right now, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, and then throw Wilder into that mix. These three guys are all guys who have rumors out there about them being tossed around in sparring or knocked out. I think all three of them actually have stories of being knocked out in sparring sessions. So, you want to consider that, but that's not something that should make or break your opinion of a fighter.
Yeah.
Anything good on the undercard?
Yeah, I didn't know. So one of my friends, Zach, in Australia, he does a nice podcast as well. You can find Zach on Twitter, but he got me smart on the podcast. So one of the best group of fights that's happened in Australia, like in the past 5 to 6 months, is the trilogy between Waylon Law and Justin Frost. 3 great fights. They've all happened within the last 5 months. Waylon Law is a tough son of a bitch. I mean, that guy is a beast. He won one of the fights. Justin Frost won 2. Long way to tell you that there's a guy on the undercard named Dana Coolwell, who I've never seen. I'm not familiar with him. He's 5-0, super featherweight. Apparently, he's been handling Waylon Law and sparring really well recently. So there's a lot of buzz about Dana Coolwell, so someone to watch. Sam Goodman, a young 7-0 prospect. Zach said he's very interested in seeing fight again, so I'm looking to see him. Excited to see him. And then the fight to watch seems to be really well matched. Ben Kite and Andrew Hunt right at the top of the card for the Australian welterweight title. 18-4-1 is Ben Kite and 7-0-1 is Andrew Hunt. And it should be like a real barn burner, man. Like a really evenly matched fight with 2 guys that want to fight. So I'm excited for this. It comes on at like 5 a.m. U.S. time on Saturday. But like I said, you'd have to have IPTV. There's not going to be any streams or anything.
Yeah, so get your coffee, or someone maybe will upload it and you can watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, maybe.
Or Tim will be on the case.
I'll be on it, dude.
And then I think you have one more for us.
Yeah, really quick, Big Punch. I always just tune into Big Punch. I just always keep a window open on one of my laptops for Big Punch because there's always just young Americans, especially after the pandemic. Like, I think I counted up 3 young Americans, and the cards are always long. There's always like 15 fights. Got a 19-year-old female, Summer Lynn. She's 3-0 from Chicago. 18-year-old Jose Gonzalez, who just like a month or 2 ago had a highlight reel knockout in Mexico. So that kid can punch. He's someone I just interested to see fight again. And then another kid from California, 19-0. So a lot of young California kids go down there and fight. I mean, Ashton Silva is a prospect that I think has a lot of potential. I literally
have his Boxer page open to ask you about him.
Do you? Yeah. That kid's really good, man. And he just turned 17. He's fought down in He's fought one more time than whatever it says on BoxRec, because BoxRec doesn't recognize the Rosarito commission, and that's where he made his pro debut. But there was stories out there when he turned pro that he had signed with Floyd Mayweather when he turned pro, but I follow him pretty closely on Instagram. I haven't really seen any indications of that. Maybe that's true, but I don't know. But yeah, that kid can fight. They bring him along the right way. He's the real deal. He's got a lot of amateur experience. So I think like 125 amateur fights, 10-time national champion, something to that effect.
Yeah, he looks good from what I've seen of him.
Yep. And he's in the
And
always in the gym. I mean, he's always just exactly want to see for a young kid like that, right?
like, and are we expecting a lot of knockouts on this card?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I say this because I'm looking at the records of the opponents here, and there's not a lot of wins. There's not a lot of numbers, green numbers that aren't 1 or 0.
Yeah. 1-12, 1-11, 2-27, 4-13. God bless. God bless.
All right, and then let's see. Any prospects that we should be keeping an eye on that are fighting? I think you might have mentioned one of them, the one in Russia, right?
Yeah, both of them. I think we just talked about, so we don't have to beat a dead horse. Abdi Davtiev.
Just some notes about him. He's also signed with Salida, 6'5", or he's aligned with Salida based off of what BoxRec has. Yeah, we don't have to say so more of him than Justice Hooney.
Yep.
And the last question that I have for you: if there's going to be a card this week where you're going to watch because it has potential to be a train wreck, which one is it?
So Berlin, Germany. We haven't talked about this one yet. This is on Saturday too. And the beauty of this card is heavyweight Marko Radonjic is fighting from Montenegro. And our guy Marko is 22-0 with 22 knockouts.
All right. I mean, I feel like a heavyweight with this kind of record, with that kind of power, shouldn't we know of him at this point?
Right. Yeah. Right. That's why we need to see him. And hopefully, right now he's against TBA.
I was going to say, he's fighting Saturday, right? There's no opponent listed.
I know. That's what makes it fantastic. So that's the other thing. We're going to tune in and we're going to wonder if he's still on the card. And we're just going to hope we see him. And then when he comes rolling in the ring, we don't know anything about the guy. I know some people do. I don't. I just know I've had him bookmarked because
I know he's going to lose.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. But I'm going to watch him because he's 22-0, 22 knockouts.
30 years old.
In his last fight, which I just saw, I say I never saw him. I guess I saw him for 90 seconds. And I tweeted out the highlight. His last fight, they brought in Özkan Çetinkaya, a Turkish heavyweight, 31-22, 42 years old. And our guy Özkan is most remembered by all of my Polish friends on Twitter for lasting 2 rounds with Lucas Rozanski, who's 12-0, and Özkan knocked down 8 times in 2 rounds before they waved it off. So the comedy there was spectacular, and the comedy with Marko fighting Özkan here just March 19th was spectacular as well. And both of those were highlights.
Look at the clip here. Yikes.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's bad, dude. It's
like
great.
The guy went down from like everything.
Yeah.
And, like the ref didn't even call some of the things that I thought should have been knockdowns.
He went down. He almost went down from a feint, I think, really early in the first round. He's like, "Oh shit, I'm supposed to be standing." And he stood up.
This is like what it would look like if I sparred Errol Spence.
Right.
Yep. He would move and I'd quiver on the ground. Oh man. All right.
This is our sport.
Marko Radonjic, is that how you say it? Radonjic? I don't know.
Remember.
That's from Germany. I will look forward to the highlight of whatever they decide to put in front of this guy.
Yep.
Any final words for today?
No, man. We covered it all. Too bad we're starting off on a slow week. I think in the future we'll have some great stuff to talk about, especially probably even after this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like there's a lot this weekend, and if you're right in your assessment of things, our boy Marko Radonjic will give us something to talk about.
Absolutely.
All right, well, that is episode 1 and we will be back next week. Actually, we're probably not going to release this one.